Well, I can't believe it's already been almost 2 years since we opened this second scrapyard location, and hopefully we're right around the corner from opening the auto parts junkyard. But I figured it was about time I gave you guys an update, so let's take a quick walk around, check out what we got going on, and then we'll talk about what the future plans are. So I'm standing right here at the front gate, and the first thing you will notice is we have a ton of cars on the yard. The yard is pretty much full. We'll walk down there in a minute. And if you guys have seen my other videos, you know that I worked on that fire truck there for a while and got it running and working and driving. And then unfortunately, I have just been out of time, and so it's still sitting there. I do have the parts to fix the brakes, but I don't have the time. Hopefully sometime soon. So I'm not sure if you remember from last time, but basically we're splitting the yard into two sections. To the left is the scrapyard where we're handling all the scrap metal, over that way towards the machines. And then to the right is going to be the auto parts junkyard, and that whole other section down there that we have fenced in, I'll walk down there and show you in just a minute. But as we walk around here, just keep in mind we have been very busy over here, and about 3 weeks ago that Liebherr 922, which is our main machine over here, actually had a fire in the cab, and so it's been down for several weeks, and we have just been struggling to keep up with material. Next week we have about 20 loads scheduled to get hauled out of here, so we'll get things back under control. Good problems to have that we're busy, bad problems to have when things start catching on fire. So this is where we are still processing the aluminum cans. I believe in our last video we had a 40-yard dumpster sitting here that we were putting the cans in and then taking back to the main yard to process. We were filling that 40-yard dumpster so quickly that it just became more of a hassle to have to run back and forth to empty it, that we started using these 53-foot van trailers. So that machine blows the cans into that trailer, and once it's full we take it to the other yard to empty it. You can see we've got a pretty big pile of steel. That's actually what I'm over here today doing, was hauling this clean steel out of here, taking it back to the main yard to run through the shear. And then next week is what we got all the trucks scheduled for, all this material that needs to go to the shredder. We got a ton of cars, tons of stuff that just got to be shipped out. And like I said, it's been such a cluster over here because the machine was down. We've literally got to clean everything up and kind of start over. The warehouse is still for the non-ferrous. I'll go around and go inside in a minute and show you kind of what it looks like in there now, but it's pretty much the same as last time. The biggest difference on the non-ferrous side is last time we had a bunch of roll-off containers set up over here along the fence that we were putting the different grades of aluminum in, and our roll-off business has expanded a lot since then, and we needed those dumpsters. So it's hard to see because there's so much material here, but we have bays built out of these big concrete blocks, and so there's several bays right here, and it's supposed to be separated by material. So you can see this right here is all of your aluminum siding, like gutters and house siding, and then this right here to the left of it would be like our old sheet aluminum. But because we were so behind, we weren't able to get to this pile to ship it out, because the steel piles here were literally out to where I'm standing basically. We just started being able to get that cleaned up once the machine was back running. And then of course we got all those cars over there that still need to be processed, and then basically everything from right here in the middle of the pile to the left is processed and stacked cars. So once we get that out of here next week, we'll be in good shape. But let's go inside the building so I can show you the non-ferrous stuff real quick, and then we'll run down to the car part side of the yard and talk about what we're going to do down there. One thing I forgot to mention about all the steel piles is behind there, all the way to the fence line, we still have all these cars stacked in here. So the plan is, as soon as we get all this steel hauled out of here, we're going to move all these cars over to the new junkyard field. And then these bays where the steel piles are going to get pushed back all the way to the fence line. That way we just have a lot more space right here. We did not anticipate getting this busy and the road we have going through the yard closing off so quickly. So here we are in the non-ferrous warehouse. I think since the last time I gave an update, we have bought a few more forklifts to leave over here. We were having a problem that if a forklift went down when we only had one, we could not move anything at all. So we went ahead and brought a couple more over just so that we don't have that problem. And then, so we store most of our valuable stuff in here, like these radiators. and the copper. One thing that is going to happen in the very near future is we're going to put at least one, but maybe two downstroke balers over here in this corner. That way we can go ahead and bale these radiators at this location and then send them back already baled to the main yard. Right now we're taking these little dumpsters when we have an empty truck over here and putting them on the truck and running them through our big baler, which is working fine, but it'll just help keep it more organized and neat over here instead of having so many full bins inside. But just like at the other yard, we fill up boxes with copper, wire, brass, all that stuff, and then this gets transferred back over to the main yard so that it can be paired with what we have over there to be sold. Down here is basically the same thing as last time. These are just all the boxes that we put material in. So basically as it comes in and we purchase it, we sort it and put it into its corresponding box. So for example, these are all our different types of insulated copper wire, and each box, if you bring it in separately, brings a different price. And then this is the scale and the computer system. So when you bring stuff in, we have you come to this back door, put your stuff on the scale, enter it into the system, and that automatically sends it up to the office. Over here is the same thing as on that side. It's just different type material. So over here we've got our different types of copper and then our different types of brass, but all of this material still goes over to the main yard because we're processing this stuff over there every day, and then we sell it once we have a full tractor trailer load. But let's go take a look outside at the auto parts side. Okay, so if we take a right off the end of the scale and come down to this side of the yard, it is nothing but vehicles that we have saved. Now some of these we're probably not going to save and actually put on the junkyard. When the crane went down, we still had people bringing in multiple cars every day. We started just stacking them anywhere we could get them, and so some of these will go back over there to be processed just for scrap. I think our last count, there was right at about 350 vehicles total, and we've certainly probably added some since then. Rough estimate, when we open the junkyard, we'll have probably somewhere between 600 on the low end and 1,000 on the high end, depending on how tight we pack them in there. I don't want to pack them in so tight that people can't get around them and pull parts off of them. And so that we can change them out very regularly. I feel like if we packed a full 1,000 in there, we'd have to move 10 just to get one out to crush it. I'd rather be able to just get the cars and pull them out when they come to the end of their pull apart life. But that's pretty much it down here. You can see all this stuff's grown up because some of these vehicles have been here for the past 2 years. We've just been slowly saving them as we have been getting them. And then this field down here is going to be where the actual U-Pull-It junkyard is. I've got a little bit of dirt right here. I got a screen, so I got to bring the screen machine back over. And then we've got to put down a ton of gravel over here. I've started doing that some, but same thing, I just need more time. Here's some more of those vehicles that they've just been kind of putting wherever they can for the time being. And down here's the same thing. So my plan was to kind of start on one half of the field and get it completely graveled, and then once it was graveled, we could start bringing the vehicles over and putting them in rows. The good thing about most of those vehicles over there that we're storing, they've already been prepped and drained for the junkyard. Some of them do have some junk in them that needs to be cleaned out and some scrap metal in the truck beds that need to go over to the scrapyard before we put them out here. But we don't have to put each individual one back on the drain rack to drain the gas tanks and all that good stuff. So these are just overflow. Most of these we are going to keep, which is why they're already brought out here. But we're going to organize them better by make, and we're going to use wheels that are welded together for stands so they're not sitting on the ground. But basically the next part of the plan is to continue to spread this gravel out, but cut this grass from the center of the field all the way to that side and get over there completely graveled so we can start stacking the cars in here in rows. And then once this entire side is done and starting to get filled up, we'll start working on that side over there. And so as an update, kind of how the business has been performing, it really took this location about a year to get put on the map and for people to really realize that we were here. Part of that is because poor marketing on our end of things. The scrap markets kind of got rocky after we first opened, and so it was kind of a slow roll into, you know, really trying to make this yard more well known. And honestly, our best marketing tool over here has been word of mouth. So once people know that we're here, they tell their friends and family, and then they come to see us as well. But now the business is doing fantastic. Almost 2 years down the road, we have been able to justify hiring a couple more people over here. They're fairly busy through the day or through the weeks. Of course, the weather, when it gets really cold or if it's raining, it gets a little bit slower. The biggest difference between here and our main yard is we're not running our industrial trucks like the roll-offs into this yard, so it's mostly driven from people bringing in scrap and then other local businesses that haul the scrap into here instead of us picking it up. But I guess that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully we'll get the auto parts junkyard open in a couple months. There's been a little bit of a hold up there from a time constraint standpoint, and then also just building up inventory. It's hard to open up that yard with only 100 cars because people don't want to pay to get in just to look at 100. But if you have 1,000 or 800 or how many ever, they're a lot more likely to come around. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. I'll be posting updates every so often. And then of course, I'm going to start trying to post more scrap and recycling related content frequently. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. Thanks.